Society's like that. Sorry. I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, healthcare is a human right faculty, staff, and friends. Thank you all very, very much for coming today. And I mean, I don't have anything prepared, so what we're going to do today is we're going to have a little bit of in-service before we party. Galione with RUPCO is going to give us a little talk. Then Joan, and both Joan and Carol are our hostesses here at the Kirkland. So we owe them a great debt of gratitude. And all of the staff at RUPCO, including this Randolph back there, who's done an awful lot of Xeroxing for us and help, administrative help. So we really appreciate that. And then we're going to have a little talk by Tim of Family of Woodstock. And I don't know how many of you have heard her rap, but we all need to hold it in our hearts because we work under the umbrella of Family of Woodstock. So we are extraordinarily grateful to them, and we have to honor their philosophy, which is completely in line with ours. So there's no problem there. But we have to really understand a few things about how that works. And then we have Debbie Edelman here. Where's Debbie? From the Woodstock Time Bank. And I've been trying to encourage everyone to sign up, but it's really hard when it's kind of an abstract concept. So Debbie's going to make it more real, and you can get the information on how to sign up while she's here. And our organization, as well as Family of Woodstock, are both members, organizational members of the Woodstock Time Bank, which isn't limited to Woodstock alone. It's the whole area. Sorry. I won't preempt you. But in any case, every hour that you spend working for healthcare is a human right. In other words, when you do a clinic, you do 3 hours. Okay, so I won't even start with that. But anyway, we want you to sign up for the Time Bank so you get the benefit of the Time Bank. In any case, let's get started with Carol. And then Joan. Okay. I'm going to speak very briefly, and I didn't really prepare anything. I really thought I would. But I was just saying to Joan, it's been such an intense week, and then I thought, well, it's been an intense month. And an intense year. And like every week, yesterday I sort of felt like I should have my roller skates on or something. It was that kind of day. But I'm the Program Services Manager at RUPCO, and I think RUPCO is sort of as Ulster County's best kept secret, because I worked for other social service agencies in Ulster prior to working here. I had no idea what RUPCO was or what they did. And I think my position, I kind of can really relate to what you guys do, because I meet with people, our clients, and they're not clients, they're people. And I do triage, and they come to me with all kinds of problems, and I say, okay, let's look at the biggest problem, and let's look at what your assets are, and let's see what we can work out. So I was trying to remember how this came about. I know that I experienced. What is RUPCO? What does it even stand for? I'm joking more to that, but I want to also say something about that, because that's sort of more common speak. But I was trying to think about you guys being here. I know that I'm friends with family, and I know about healthcare as a human right and all the wonderful work that you guys do. And I think you were saying you wanted a location in Kingston, and I was just really determined to get you here, because I just think what you do is so valuable, and I have come and taken advantage of your services, and I just think it's wonderful. And my clients and the people who come to RUPCO have also had the opportunity to take advantage of your services, and I'm really grateful, mostly grateful. So, Rural Ulster Preservation Company, I'm just going to say really briefly, if you Google preservation companies, those of you who come from a more urban setting in the cities, life used to be really centered around cities, and there were people who were either on fixed incomes or low income, who needed help with housing, and in the city we all know there's housing authorities and there's low-income housing, tenements, things like that. Well, as people spread out to the suburbs and to rural communities, there became a need for the same sort of housing subsidies in rural communities, and that was sort of the birth of rural preservation companies. And there's more information on that on the HUD website, I believe, and again, Joan will speak more to that. So basically, I think that's really most of what I wanted to say, just that I'm so grateful that you guys are here. Again, you're going to hear about the different things we do. Part of it is to administer the Section 8 program, or one of the administrators of the Section 8 program in Ulster. We have 1,600 Section 8 vouchers and families out there in this county, and any one of those family members who have any number of problems, from medical or mental health or employment or financial resources, can come to me between the hours of 8:30 and 4:30, Monday through Friday, and that's what I do. I just work with them and help them access resources, entitlement benefits, and just all kinds of bumps and scrapes. And I do it also, and I love my employer because they also afford me the ability to do it with anyone. They don't have to be a Section 8 client. They can have a housing problem, or they could be homeless, and they call me, and often I get referrals from other employees in my agency who say, I'm working with this person, and they're in foreclosure, and we have all kinds of services to help them, and I just try to get them connected.
And you help people buy houses there too.
And we have a home buyers club and a home ownership center, and that's going to be in this presentation, so we want to know about that.
Do you want to get into anything political about this stuff that we talked about, how to
I'll do really, really briefly, and not to, the people, and I don't have to tell you, the people that we deal with are very fragile. They have all kinds of issues, and we always have these great cultural competency seminars with James Charles. I'm good with pictures. He used a great analogy. It was the tip of the iceberg, and what you see is literally the tip, and everything else is below the surface, and you don't see that. And just not to make assumptions and about what they are. I mean, hopefully, as a person gets to know you and gets comfortable with you, it'll come out just organically. But I feel particularly, particularly concerned and, I don't know what the word is, but sensitive about, all of these people's issues, because I have had the privilege to get to know a lot of these people, and lots come out, and it's just amazing what their backgrounds are, where they come from, and I've learned actually the hard way and made lots of mistakes about making assumptions about who people are, and so I would just say be extra special careful. That's it.
And extra special love.
And extra special love, yeah.
Which she always has.
Yes, you guys. These are little things that I sort of hand out to the people I work with about program services. It has my contact number and my name. I'm going to put them in the back table, and you guys, so there's a little explanation, and you can find out more. Great, thanks. I'm not going to watch Jones. So I'm going to introduce Joe Lawrence Bauer, who's going to tell you more about RUPCO.
Yay, thank you, Carol.
So, by way of introduction, I just have to say a couple of things. Like Carol, I think that I really relate to everybody in this room. I think about what my day has been like so far today. I started at 5 o'clock in the morning. I got myself up, and I got 2 kids up, and then I had to get my husband into his wheelchair and out of it, and then I did all that, and I got him to school, and I got to work, and I raced around to meetings, and I worked on a PowerPoint, and I did an art class, and I spilled paint on myself, and my PowerPoint isn't quite finished. And if I was with any other audience, I would be freaking out. But I'm with you, and I feel so good, and I have goosebumps, and I'm so grateful to be here. And I'm so grateful to have all of you here. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity to tell you about RUPCO. And RUPCO once stood for Rural Ulster Preservation Company, but you're getting a beat on some new news. We will probably be changing our name in the not-too-distant future and eliminating Rural Ulster Preservation Company and just becoming RUPCO, because that is how everyone knows us, number one, and number two, we once only served Ulster County, and now we serve 10 counties in the Hudson Valley region.
Wow.
10 counties, that's how far we go. So we will actually be doing an entire branding campaign, redoing our whole website. We're making our website accessible in English and Spanish, accessible to the visually impaired, to the hearing impaired. It's a very, very exciting project. And so you'll be hearing a lot more about that and seeing a lot more about that as we move forward. But this will be our new logo. But the process of doing this has really made us think about who we are and what we are and what's important to us and what are the core values that we want people to think of. We have always said that RUPCO is more than a roof overhead. We are primarily a housing agency, but we do a whole lot more than that. Our mission statement has been simplified. It's very simple. Our mission is to create homes, support people, and improve communities. That's what we do. So I'll talk a little bit about creating homes. Homes can be homes that you own. Homes can be apartments. There are a lot of ways that you can create home. One of the things we do is a nursing home transition and diversion program, so we can keep people in, different kinds of homes. These are some of the homes that we've created. We built Park Heights in Rosendale. We've created the Hunter Street apartments here in Kingston, Hasbrook, on Hasbrook Avenue. As of right now, we are owning and managing about 374 apartment units. So we're landlords. We have people, and many of those people are the people that Garol helps. In Woodstock, Bradley Meadows, behind Bradley Meadows, this is what we found. And on January 15th, we started moving people in to Woodstock Commons. I will share with you that
After 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
10 years.
Of work.
8 years in the approval process. And I will share with you that I was there on moving in day, meeting the people and talking with them. One woman who was 84, I believe, lived in Woodstock for 56 years on Rock City Road and lost her home to a hurricane and couldn't move back. And she has been living on people's couches ever since. Another woman I helped move in, and I said, so where did you live before this? And she said, I always lived in Woodstock. I said, well, where in Woodstock? And she pointed to her van. And it was unbelievable, because it was just as this freezing cold weather was coming in, and the only thing she really had to move into the apartment was a bed. But she was moving into that apartment that night, and she was going to have a roof over her head. In Ellenville, we built these townhomes. These are NYSERDA Home Energy Star rated townhomes for first-time home buyers to buy. They are 3-story. There's a full basement. There's the first floor, and then there's the second floor. They all have 3 bedrooms, bamboo floors. They're just really, really beautiful. Here in Kingston, we took the Pettit House, which is at the corner of Clinton and Franklin, and we turned this historic but falling down home into 4 condominiums that are now owned by the people who live there. All of these people are adding to their communities. And then, of course, you're here in the Kirkland. This was built in 1899. It was a women's home for women. And then it turned into a hotel, and then it was vacant for about 30 years, and then we rebuilt so now we have the basement, which we're using for RUPCO art classes right now. We have our first floors, which are a lot about community use. Our second floor has the development offices, my office and community development. And then we have affordable apartments on the third and fourth floors of this building, and they too are beautiful. So that's just some of how we create homes and turn things around. And in so doing, we think we improve communities. Our home highlights, just from last year alone, we had 40 first-time home buyers. That's actually down for us. We usually average 55 first-time home buyers every year. By doing that, we generated $4.6 million with local banks. And these are the local banks that we work with, the Ulster Savings and those kinds of banks. To those homeowners, we gave $534,000 in grants for down payment and closing costs and other things that they needed. We repaired and rehabilitated 50 homes last year. That too is down a little bit. And in doing that, we had $450,000 of grant money to fix the homes, and it went to local contractors and to local vendors who supply the materials. So we're keeping people employed. We had 1,380 people in education programs or counseling just around home ownership. We did construct those 53 new homes in Woodstock, and we did start work on 50 to 60 more homes here in Kingston in the lace factory, and that will be artist housing. And it will be live-work space for artists. There will be a gallery there. There will be public spaces, private spaces. So
Is that the one that's near the railroad?
yes.
Oh, I've been looking at that going, it should be there. Oh,
Yes. It's going to be spectacular. Okay, so those are the highlights of our home ownership work, our creating homes. Supporting people. Again, this is really Carol. And we have another person, Sierra. Those are the two people in our agency who spend the most time with people as opposed to buildings. And we help them turn their lives around in many different ways. We help people to pay their rent. We do that in Greene County and in Ulster County. That's the Section 8 program, the Housing Choice Voucher program. Last year, we brought $16 million into these two counties from HUD and handed that to local landlords on behalf of the people that we are in that Section 8 program. We provide supportive housing. At the Stuyvesant, we have the 40 apartments, and this is another big part of Carol's portfolio. And thanks hugely to Carol, the Supportive Housing Network of New York State named the Stuyvesant the Residence of the Year for 2012.
Yeah. The tenants at the Stuyvesant are the tenants who get to utilize your services because they're close by. And you have, whether you know it or not, you've worked on them.
Yes, yes. And it's a very, they need a lot of support. And so you are now helping Carol to do that. We provide emergency services. This is the house on the left is my next door neighbor, or was my next door neighbor prior to Hurricane Irene. I was a little bit luckier than him, but not much. And then that's a picture from Sandy. So we provide emergency services, not just after natural disasters, but when people are homeless, we can often help with maybe a security deposit or a security deposit in the first month's rent or different things. All of that is Carol's portfolio. She does it all by herself. So the highlights last year, we were the first agency in the state of New York to pilot the nursing home transition and diversion program. It's an amazing program where for the first time ever, the New York State Department of Housing and the New York State Department of Health got together.
Wow.
And they came up with a program to say, we got to keep people out of nursing homes. Let's have the housing people deal with the housing part, and let's have the health people deliver the health first one in the state, and now we have 13 people that we are keeping out of nursing homes.
Oh, that's so great.
Housing opportunities for people with AIDS. Again, these are in Carol's portfolio. We have 22 households that we help there. And we have 80 households in our family self-sufficiency program, which is the program that is now meeting in the other room.
Yeah, that's a great example of, it's just hands-on what we do. We sort of double booked tonight by accident, but in that small room, the family self-sufficiency program is sort of a hybrid of Section 8. They're really goal-oriented families who'd like to, they have a goal they're working towards. And there's one Section 8 caseworker, Sierra Smith, who works with them. And through Cornell Cooperative Extension, we have a budgeting class for them tonight. So they're in, it's a great day. And
right. But what she does is she takes these people and works with them for up to 7 years each. And they sit down and they establish what is their goal, and then they figure out what are the obstacles, and she helps them get there. And you'll hear stories later. Last year, we honored somebody at one of our community lunches who went from homeless to a Section 8 program. She got into the family self-sufficiency program. Sierra helped her get education. She got a job. She became a homeowner. She got promoted. No more public assistance. And that's what this program is all about. So we improve communities. Now, we like to think that we improve communities by everything that we do. But in some cases, it's a big improvement, like 53 new homes in Woodstock. And you will all be invited. We're going to have a huge ribbon-cutting ceremony and celebration at the end of April. We haven't set the date yet, but all of you will be invited. It's really very, very exciting. We inspect homes. All of the people who are on our Section 8 voucher program, if they are living in private landlord-owned homes, we go and inspect them to make sure that they're safe, that they aren't living in substandard housing. And so you hear things on the street about how horrible those Section 8 houses are. Well, they aren't. We inspect them. The ones that are horrible are the ones that aren't taking vouchers, and usually charging a lot more. But anyway, that's a story for another day. This is the lace factory. On the left is the way it looks now, and on the right is a picture of how we expect it to look at some point in the not-too-distant future. We will be having vaulted ceilings. I mean, it's really going to be a spectacular project. Pardon? No, it used to. It won't now, but we are like excavating that, and we put this building on the historic register for both federal and state historic registers. And so what we will be doing is highlighting some of those features, preserving them and highlighting them so that you will be able to see it. And the train tracks did. They ran right through the building, right here. And now it will be a big glass thing so that you'll be able to see through. So it's going to look open the way it looked when the train ran through it, but it won't be open. It will be glass enclosed.
History.
Yes. We take an interest in people's health, in the local businesses. We take an interest in our community. When I talked earlier about some of the things that we're talking about as we think about rebranding and what does RUPCO mean, what's important to us, fairness, justice, opportunity for everybody, leveling the playing field for everybody. That's what's important to us, and it permeates everything that we do and everybody who works here. We educate ourselves. We are doing intensive diversity and inclusion training classes here so that we can better work with each other and better work with everybody in our community and appreciate everybody more. And then we educate the community as well. We have classes. We do our first-time homeownership classes. We teach finance. We teach the legal segment. We teach home maintenance, all of these things to somebody who's buying a home. And we're very, very proud to say that the people who bought homes in the first-time homebuyer program, going back now 20 years, almost none of them impacted by the foreclosure crisis because they didn't buy a home they couldn't afford. They knew what they were doing when they bought the homes. And so we do seminars. We brought the Attorney General's staff in to teach about foreclosure. We've brought in the consumer affairs people to teach about fraud, scams, and things like that. We do a lot of that. And all of that is just improving our communities. We participate. We get involved in the communities. This was our clean sweep team last year, and this is our housing inspector on the right with a piece of roadkill she found as she was sweeping up. But we really get involved on a very visceral level in our communities where we live and work. We participate in the Children's Day Parade. We have a big float. This is where O Positive, got started and is based out of. We're working now on a big event in April on Clean Sweep Day here in Kingston for Energize Kingston. And we're working with the Y and the City of Kingston to have a day all about sustainability and energy and all different kinds of exciting things that day. We're green. We are very, very committed to our green programs and practices and working very hard to improve them every day. We did $1 million weatherization project, actually it was a little more, I think, on the properties that we own. This is Tom Ford Pines with a solar panel on the top. And as of now, because of the solar panels on these buildings, the public spaces in the buildings, we no longer have any energy bills. The heating and the cooling for the public spaces in our buildings now is covered by the solar panels that we put on. In Woodstock Commons, when we built it, it is one of the first LEED certified affordable housing complexes in the state of New York. And at Woodstock Commons, there will be no fossil fuels used to provide heat in any apartment there. It's all geothermal. Wow. So we work really, really hard on our green portfolio. And in fact, this year, we're very excited to have been named by the National Neighbor Works organizations as one of 16 across the country green neighbor works organizations. And we were actually chosen among the top 3 to be featured in their video. So if you go on our website and see our green thing, you'll see that. So we went to Washington in December to get that award.
Wow.
And we also run the Green Jobs Green New York program for NYSERDA in 10 counties throughout the state. We have about 40 employees. So we make an impact. We do housing creation and retention, education, job creation, family stability, community growth, economic recovery. And these are all the building blocks for a healthy community. And so this is what it's all about, health. This is just to give you an idea, an impact chart on our money for 1 year and on what went out into the community. The big green thing on the right represents the rent that we pay for people, and the thing on the left represents the money we spent on Woodstock Commons in the last year, and then everything else is in the smaller kinds of pieces of the pie. That pie changes every year. It looks very different every year. Our numbers are significant, no matter how you look at them. There are very few nonprofit agencies in this county that can tell you that they have more than a $35 million impact every year, and that is the impact of RUPCO in the community. There is no denying these are some of our home ownership stories, and when we start to see these stories and hear these stories, there is absolutely no denying that we keep the dream alive. That's what we do. And we make our world a better place by doing it. Yeah. If I could just take 3 more minutes, and we just finished shooting 6 videos, 6 stories, 6 success stories. I would like to show you one now. And then later on, afterwards, if you want to see any others, you certainly can. This is a woman who was in our family self-sufficiency program. And this is her story.
I wanted to own a home since I was little. My best friend and I used to sit out in the grass of the house and we would always draw our houses. It's always been a dream of mine because not ever living in an owned house. You know, we always lived in my grandfather's house and then when my mother moved to another house, it was like always waiting for money to come in because she had to pay a lot more rent and she was on public assistance and food stamps because she was a single mother of 5. And I said, you know, I don't want any of that public assistance or food stamps. I need to do this on my own. Carlos was born when I was 21. I ended up being a single mother. And I was waitressing. And I used to work all kinds of crazy hours. And from that time forward, I said, something's got to change. I can't be a waitress my whole life, and I have to give my kid a future. When I joined the RUPCO Family Self-Sufficiency Program, I kind of thought it was just the worker blowing smoke. When I went on RUPCO, I was in school, and I was waitressing part-times. So my portion of the rent was $1. Then my worker wanted me to join this program. I said, well, what is that going to do? And she said, well, you know, it matches what you have to pay for rent. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, $1. And she goes, no, you have to look into the future. When you finish school, when you get a good job, then you'll be saving more money. And I'm like, okay. So I ended up going to the home ownership program classes. And those classes, you really learn a lot. They tell you so much that I couldn't believe. In fact, I had my realtor fooled for quite a while. He thought that I was a pro. So I bought the house. And with my family self-sufficiency money, which, you know, when I started off was like $99 a month, but by the end, when I bought my house, it was about $17,000 that I had towards my down payment and fixing the house and whatever I needed it for. I've always had this fear that something would happen to me and my children wouldn't have me and they would have nothing, that they would be in this rental property that they couldn't afford the rent on and they would have nothing and I would just leave them not knowing what to do. Kind of how I felt when I left my house. And now that I have a home, I feel like it's okay no matter what happens because my children will always know where their roots are and where they can come whenever they need something. And I'll have something that I can leave them.
We are very honored to be hosted by you guys, and I know that our values and your values are the same. And it's a great privilege to be associated with you guys. And on behalf of Healthcare is Human Right, I would like to present you a little bit of Valentine's luck. Garol.
Thank you. And I would just like to take the moment to thank Randolph. Randolph is a VISTA volunteer here for a year, and without Randolph, we wouldn't have had a power.
You got to give this. It's a real privilege to be associated with you guys, and it's a beautiful space. Absolutely beautiful.
Yes, it is. I'm just going to listen and pop in and out.
Okay, next we have